But I was thinking, so let's say, because this is, I think, an issue, particularly here, and I think in certain cultures this can apply to, is that even if I came to you as a student, we work together, I have now an idea of what I think, this is what I want to study at university, whatever it might be, arts, fashion, whatever the case might be. Now, my biggest block becomes, like you correctly said earlier, is my family. Because there's a limit, they have a particular perception of what could be, what success looks like, and what degrees could help you get there. So if I've done all the work, but at the end of the day, my parents are still, have their limiting beliefs and that block that, no, this is not what you're allowed to do, you have to pick something else. What do you do then? Because I think that is potentially one of the biggest issues or biggest blocks that people might have or students might have in actually pursuing careers that or subjects that they actually might be interested in.
Well, I can only talk about the program that we offer here. At Desk, I don't just work with students. I work with the staff, with teachers, I work with parents, and I work with the students as well. We bring in the community. It's the African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. So by educating our parents around careers education, it's important that we're not just helping our students begin to do this discovery and exploring, it's also in helping our parents. So it's not uncommon for me to have a student and their parents together for sessions. It's not uncommon for me to have calls alone with parents to talk about these things. And you'll see how active I am in the community with educating professionals and parents and community members. So that's why it's called careers education and not university advice. It's careers education because you're teaching and educating a new thought process. Traditionally, it was very, very different. It was university advice. If you talk to most schools, and by the way, I did this research, I phoned the most lucrative schools in the country inquiring about their careers programs. And we went from schools not having any to schools having a university advisor. So that traditional term, careers, is about relating to university applications. So you need to remember that we're not just helping students and the youth, we're also re-educating society in how we're educating young people around careers. So it's not going to happen overnight. It's a process. It's a process that's going to take time and consistency, and eventually we'll all get it right. And that's why we're trying to raise the bar on the standards in careers education.
Yeah, and I think you made a very good point that these things to change the mindset and culture of the community and society on a large scale is going to take time. But the programs such as like yours, and now that all like more schools are starting to understand the importance of having some kind of person there to facilitate that kind of transition from high school to university in whatever capacity, doesn't have to be as detailed as yours, is a step in the right direction. And
no, it's not. It's not. And I'm going
don't
to
think
debate
so?
you on that. I'm very passionate about this, and I am playing devil's advocate all the time. It is not enough. It is not enough that we just put a person in a seat to do anything. Careers education is not just about helping one student. It's about helping the world. The happier we are, the more fulfilled we are, the more empowered we are with our careers, the more we're going to be able to give back to our global community. So when we're looking at an education system, we have to look at the entire education system in all of it, from every service that it provides under that roof. When we're looking at students and motivation, for example, so if we look at motivation and the driving factor, especially in secondary education, what is the driving factor to get a student to want to study, to want to do well? Because all you have to do is think back to your secondary education and memorizing for assessments and sitting those final exams, right? That sometimes that's the last thing you want to do. And it's not something that you are very motivated to do. By helping and ensuring that careers education is provided with quality and high standard, you're now beginning to help young people understand and have an intrinsic motivation to want to study, because it makes sense that I'm taking this subject. One of the most common complaints you hear from students is, why do I even have to learn this? What's the point of learning this? A
True.
careers educator helps connect those dots. So I am going to debate, and I am going to continue debating. And that's why I have this community, because it is no longer okay to blindly accept that anybody does this type of work in a school. It is important that the person that young people go to for guidance, especially with careers, has got to be somebody who's open-minded, growth-minded, and sees the connection, connects those dots. Because the last thing you want to do is take a young person and encourage them down the wrong pathway. They will suffer. They will probably drop out within their first year of university if they go to university. They will have mental health issues. We are starting to see depression on the rise in that age category bracket of 17 to 21-year-olds. That is that pinnacle time in their life when we're pushing them down those wrong pathways. And then they leave university after either having, financial debt to take themselves through that university. And it's quite a heavy load on a family putting a student through university, whether it's locally or if they're sending them across the globe. And then they don't even do jobs that are connected to anything that they're doing. And in fact, they don't even understand the value of the degree other than the fact that they have a degree. So, how do we change all that? We need to stop this idea of let's just put anybody in that position and that's a positive. It's not a positive. I would rather have nobody than have the wrong person in that role.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from. I see. So just plugging that gap and not in the right way doesn't, in your opinion, doesn't lead to greater change. If anything, it could have a negative impact on a student rather than a positive one.
And all you need to do is speak to anyone that had poor career guidance, and they'll be able to tell you. And most people will remember that poor career guidance. If I go back to my secondary education, I remember who that person was. And he was someone who was like, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea for you. And although it took me longer to find my way, I found my way. But it's always great to have somebody that at least believes in what you want to be doing and helps guide you down that way.
Yeah. So now I'm not here to judge. I'm here to support whatever your vision is and whatever you're trying to accomplish.
In a roundabout way.
Okay. I got you. No, that makes a lot of sense.